Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sorry if that's very loud. The microphone is really close to me. I'll sit back. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Scoop and our very own Christmas special. As you can tell, we've got the tree. We've got the... what's the word I'm looking for?
Candy canes.
Yeah, our decorations. I couldn't even remember the word decorations. But the candy canes. We've got the candy canes. And we've got the snow and everything. We got the Christmas introduction. And you've also got these three lovely people. To my left, we have Luke Burns. To my right, we have the Bib. And obviously, I'm Graham Day. Merry Christmas! It's 12 noon on Christmas Day. And we thought, do you know what? We will come into the studio. We haven't actually. It's like a week in advance. But we know that not everybody is blessed with a family on Christmas Day, and some people don't want to be blessed with a family on Christmas Day. So because of that, we've decided to create the Ice Cream Uploads Christmas Special Scoop, and that wasn't the title particularly, but it is now.
I don't think I'm going to run with that one.
But yes, we thought we would sit down and bring you guys our thoughts on the year that has happened. So obviously everyone usually gives you the game of the year stuff, and we thought, you know what, we could do a quick poll and we could talk through what we thought has been good this year. But we thought, you know what, we're gonna do that. We're gonna give you a Christmas Day 12 noon spectacular where we take you through our gaming moments of the year, our disappointments of the year, the games that we spent the most time playing, which might be a bit more obvious for some of us than others, the biggest shocks from the games industry and beyond, and then we'll finish that up by having a bit more retrospective look at the whole decade and picking our games of the decade. We'll talk through some of our individual favourites, and maybe, just maybe, no guarantees, we might pick one that represents the Scoop as the end of the... What do we call these? So we have the noughties and then the 20s. Are these the teenies?
Tens, I think it was. Yeah. It's a shit name, that, the one in tens. I mean, this is the tens.
And teenies.
We've been through the decade and we still don't know what
Last 10 years, love. So yes, okay, we don't really have much structure. We have our notes, but we've not really planned through this. So you just got to bear with us. We've got to bear with us. And if you are watching live on YouTube, you have the pleasure of being able to skip through bits. Don't do it. I'm joking. So for a change, we are not live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. Usually we bring you guys in the chat and you can have a conversation with us. That's not happening today. No, this is purely an on-demand service because by the time you've seen this, it'll be a week ago. So, I mean, you can talk to us. We're probably not going to answer. And then, obviously, as well as being on YouTube, we will go on our usual 4 podcast services: iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Play. All 4 of those. You can be listening in, and you may be doing that now. So, hi guys, how you doing? Hey. Obviously, if the audio is off, it's because I have a massive gob and I'm sat right in front of the mic. Luke, obviously to the left, Bibby to the right. I mean, I have a feeling Bibby's voice will come through just fine.
It'll be great. Don't worry about that.
But Luke's just kind of too nice.
I'll be a little whisper in the background.
Aggressive Luke. That's what we need. Aggressive Luke. Okay, so we're kicking things off. Are we going to start off by talking about some of our gaming moments of the last 12 months?
Yes. To be honest with you, though, I don't really want to carry on going through ending on a disappointment. So do you reckon we should get rid of the shit first and then say what we liked second?
Let's do that then. Okay, let's do that.
I want to mix it up. Do you know what I mean? Let's throw a few curveballs in there.
I mean, it's Christmas. Let's all start talking about the bad things in life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been a bad year for some game publishers more than others, and not mentioning any names. EA,
Capcom, Resident. Merry Christmas.
Shocking behaviour.
Man is shivved in studio today.
So yeah, I've got 4 down here. I don't know whether or not you two have the same list as me.
I don't have the same list, and I have 2 things on my list of disappointments, and even that one, it's mainly one, but I had to put the other one in because it kind of ties into one of my other things elsewhere.
Well, if you are at home and you want to play along, feel free to get a pen and paper out and just write down what you think. Do
yourselves a favour, pause this video now and write down, okay, column 1, get ready to pause the video. Column 1 is disappointment of the year, and column 2 is gaming moment of the year. Column 3, most time playing. Column 4, biggest shock. Column 5, how many times Bibby said no, it isn't. It's games of the decade. So yeah, there you go. Play
at home. We're a very inclusive podcast and video service. So yeah, feel free to come along. So I'm going to ask Luke, what was yours biggest disappointments of the year?
Okay, yeah. I think to start with, the Stadia might be a good one.
Oh shit! I didn't even put that on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's cross off one of mine then.
Well, basically, some of the things that I've put down as my disappointments, kind of, I didn't like directly buy myself or anything like that. I'm just kind of going off the general what's happened in the industry and stuff like that. But obviously, we do know someone in the office that had Stadia.
The whole ice cream team.
Yeah.
That's it. We kind of put our money where our mouth is with that stuff, so we're able to try it ourselves to find out how good or bad, rather than just saying bad. It was bad. It wasn't a great service, to say the least. But I completely forgot about that. That's a great shout.
I mean, I suppose the word disappointment might not be quite accurate, considering I never thought it was going to be that good in the first place. Really. Sorry, Google. I mean, I wanted it to be, but it's like we've talked about.
Cheers, Luke. Google's crying.
Merry Christmas, Google.
Nice one.
But it's like we've said in previous episodes of The Scoop before, we were a little bit sceptical because it's just that classic, is the environment ready for it yet, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's come down to resounding no, really.
I think that kind of nail on the head. I mean, I have Stadia as my second point, and in brackets, streaming tech, because while Stadia was the failure, for me, it's the realization that we all knew and we've all said for many months, that it's not so much Stadia. Stadia's failure was saying they could do something that they'd not found out whether they could. The failure that for me is probably, it's not so much a failure, it's just that I know that streaming tech isn't ready. I mean, it's getting there. There's xCloud.
Well, that's where I was going to throw my curveball back in again, because I got access to the beta of the xCloud this year, and I managed to play it at home, and it ran perfectly. It's some games where you play in the fighting ones. Was it Bloody Raw? I think I was playing on it. It isn't as responsive as you'd want it to be, but a first-person shooter that isn't a twitchy, got to be accurate like CS:GO. It worked fine. It was perfect. So
I want to counter that and say, but the difference there though is that you're playing xCloud on your home network, which is reliable, and you play Destiny on your work. Like, no, wait, no, we have stupid megabit connections in the office.
The one at work is actually 1,000,000 times better than what I've got at home. So go figure, Stadia. But I do think it's hard. Some companies are doing it better, clearly, because xCloud's was way better than Stadia's. I think it might be because Microsoft do have the experience of running a network. They've got Office 365, for instance, which is their cloud service for using programs.
I mean, not that Google haven't got their own servers, but they've got their own servers, massive things for all of the internet, almost like, obviously not, but then they've got the Microsoft stuff. But the key difference, though, is Stadia kind of went, and it's out! Everyone play the games all at once online now! Whereas Microsoft went, yeah, but not sure, guys. This is only an early access just in the UK and America. So and
only on Android.
Yeah. So they've kept it to a pool where they could see what works. And then when there's an issue with the rollout stage 2 that focuses just UK and America on Android and iOS, if there's an issue then, okay, well, the issue is incorporating iOS into that ecosystem. We can learn and we can go, and iOS users are like, well, this is fucking shit, but it's only early access, so, whatever. Yeah. Whereas everyone goes, this is gonna be great! And then it's not. It's just like, brrr.
Well, if you're shelling out 120 sheets straight off the bat, you expect a half-decent service, one that's capable of running the game at a half-decent speed. Not you might get 4K, even though you've got 500 megabit connection. You might get 4K. Chances are you're going to get 720. It's not going to be 60 frames. It's going to be more around 30 to 25, which 30 is more than playable, but it's not ideal when you know what, out of the box you should be getting something else.
And for 120 quid on like the opposite end of that spectrum, 120 quid for a potential 1080p 30 FPS current gen system, 120 quid is a bargain. You can't buy a crap end PS4, I mean not crap, but low end PS4 for 120 quid that plays 1080p 30 FPS. So buying that and getting that at that price is amazing, but that's not what you're paying for. You're paying 120 quid for a system that isn't working, and then having to spend twice as much as it costs for a PlayStation game that's not brand new. If you get a PlayStation game this week, 30-40 quid, on Amazon 60 to 80 quid, not Amazon, Google Stadia 60 to 80 quid kind of thing.
That's another thing I was going to point out as a sort of, pushing the knife deeper into Stadia's sort of back, really. But I think that's a criticism that you can almost give to them more fairly than the streaming thing. Okay, you can say it was a good idea, the streaming idea, but then to sort of charge the prices that they do and not think about a street sort of like a service, a Netflix style service, or an Xbox Game Pass or whatever service. I feel like that would help sell it, even despite the sort of issues that it's got with the service itself. At least it would feel a bit more like they're not taking the piss.
Yeah.
Dare I say?
Yeah, it almost feels like the streaming service can't come yet because they don't have the titles. So yeah, they're doing the Google Play Store thing on phones. When they get that working and they're doing there, I reckon they'll do something similar, Games Pass-ish, PS Now-ish, whatever. But for now, they're thinking, okay, do we want to be like these £6 games that you can get on Steam, or do we want to be massive discounts now, 60% off, only £25 on PlayStation? It's like 60% off, £25. PC users are like, so they're clearly going in at like, okay, if we start our prices around 60 to 80 quid and we start to drop down to 40 quid, people think, okay, this is a bargain now. But it's just how long can they last at that? Is that such a high ceiling that they're not going to get the sales that they need to maintain?
Yeah.
So,
but there was an article that we read a couple of scoops back about a bloke who was going on his travels with his family, and he wanted to be able to grind down the Destiny campaign stuff rather than, he said it was pointless trying to do the competitive stuff, pointless trying to do PvP, but for PvE he's paid £120, he's got 3 months of free Destiny because he's got the Stadia Pro, and he's actively being able to take it anywhere he wants, any TV, any Chrome it's perfect for that reason if you're going to be doing that kind of thing. But beyond that, he said it's kind of worthless.
They've got some sort of turn-based strategy games or something like that, I'm sure it's perfect. Something you just don't need to react to.
And that's the thing. If you play card games, Hearthstones and things like that, perfect, boom, boom, boom. I mean, none of those exist on the format, but or if as like I kind of mentioned when we were talking about this, I was saying the idea of having, that cross progression thing that dude did with his grinding in Destiny, having that cross progression format of, say, if I could just smash my way through a Master League or something at home, and knowing that I could play it on the go, even if I just thought, okay, well, gameplay's crap, so I can't play a game of PES, even if I'm just playing against the AI on hard difficulty, if things just start working, I'm going to lose the game. So maybe I could just do my admin side of things, because I'm such a massive nerd. As Bibby knows, I made a spreadsheet for Master League at the start of this year. But when it came to Master League, I would love getting to the summer after I've finished the season, so I can start putting my bids in and getting good bargains for my players and stuff like that. And that could be the stuff that I do on the move, like thinking, oh yes, I'm not gonna play anymore. I know it's only Tuesday, I could play Wednesday and Thursday or whatever, but I'm off away, we work on the Friday, so I can take my Master League on the go, and that stuff would kind of work with it. But once again, the games aren't there for it.
But that's what Football Manager's there for.
I was going to ask, is that?
But I want to play the game.
I know. You want to play the good games. I'm not saying Football Manager. Please, it's supposed to try to say, I'm your biggest fan.
I meant I want to actually play the matches myself, like kick the balls and stuff. So Football Manager should work for me. The amount of time I spend investigating my transfers and figuring out my formation and like scouting the hidden gems and stuff. Even yesterday we were looking at PES Hub app for PES My Club, and there was like, oh, there's a hidden gems kind of like thing here, and even that caught my eye because it's that thing. But I just can't get into Football Manager because it's all the admin without the payoff kind of thing for me. It's like I want to be able to use the fruits of my labour, not see if it.
For me, it's the exact opposite. I love the fact that I know the game's going on its arse, but it's up from, if I'm 1-0 down with 25 minutes to go, I know, right, my formation isn't working. I can see on my chart that their left back isn't having the best game. Okay, let's load the right hand side. Let's get a bit more pace on the right hand side. Let's move the strikers a bit more central so that they've got a give and go. We're just tactically changing it like that to see whether or not it works, and a lot of the times it does.
I think
which is perfect.
On paper that sounds appealing to me, but then again, I've not actually tried one. I've not actually tried a Football Manager game. I'm just like looking at sort of the screenshots and the videos I've seen.
CD keys, mate. Get last year's for about £3.80, and just have a blast. Me and my mate Alpi, I've been playing the 2003-2004 database on it, and that is a laugh. That's a real laugh. So you're playing with this current crop of animations and stuff like that, but I've got like Darius Vassell up front with Nicholas and Elka and things, so it's perfect. Honestly, I can't recommend it.
United might win stuff.
That's not a bit too easy.
I mean, on the derby of the week. Okay, so next up then, babe, what
you?
Okay, me. Okay, I'm a disappointment. Thanks.
Do Cheers, Grim Ryan.
Okay, me. Which so this kind of ties into something that was a move on a little bit further on. My biggest disappointment of 2019, even though technically it was a 2018 release, I'm throwing it in 2019 for relevance because it came after the cut-off for all of the awards stuff for last year. So Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Okay.
So yeah, that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was huge disappointment. Everyone knows loot crates. Everyone knows there was all of the catastrophe in terms of balancing in game. Nobody played with an assault rifle or with what the equivalent of an LMG was in the Star Wars universe, because sniper rifles one-shot kill all the time. So everyone would be snipers, and then because good weapons were hidden behind the loot crate wall, anyone that played it earlier on just didn't have access to the full scope and spectrum of weapons. Plus, one of my biggest hates is because of that, because there was no variation in the class of people that you could choose. The fact that the game became a class-based system. Star Wars Battlefront 1, you could just go, well, I want the sniper rifle, and I want grenades, and I want... Whereas Battlefront 2, you start going, okay, if you're a sniper rifle, yes, if you're if you're a sniper, you've got these things to choose from, these perks and so on, which meant, teamwork, Battlefield Bad Company 2-esque. Yes, please, I'll have some of that. No, it didn't work like that. It was everyone's a sniper. So the class stuff became irrelevant. There was no one there that could do any sort of medic stuff. Everyone was running gunning man for themselves, and everything that I loved about Star Wars Battlefront, I remember we spoke about in a few previous episodes of The Scoop, that I would sit there 2 Christmases ago. I'd just got a gaming chair, not world-class GT Omega, by the way. It was one of those like X-Rocker things with speakers built in, which was really good for, wasn't comfortable in terms of sitting in playing for a long time, because it was just like a curve like that, but it was really good in terms of it was cushioned and there was speakers all around you, so turning the game on and they get it was really good. And Battlefront, probably the same for the second one, but the audio in the first one was incredible. Like hearing things like AT-ATs walking off and TIE fighters or whatever flying overhead, it was badass. And then trying to like capture that joy with everyone just run a gun in every man for themselves with sniper rifles in Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the first few weeks. And yes, there was all the shit with the loot crates and stuff, but I'm just thinking, I'm not even asked about the loot crate. I'm not enjoying it as it is. I mean, that is part of the reason why people hated the loot crates, because they weren't enjoying it as it was, and you had to unlock stuff to be able to enjoy a bit more of it. So yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2 was my biggest disappointment of the year.
You kind of mentioned though, back to me and the other guys, you were considering maybe trying it again. Do you think you're going to do that, or?
Yeah.
Why is that? What's changed your mind?
Well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because that ties in to something going forward. Disappointments, Bib?
See, I've written down 4 things, but I think the biggest one for me would have probably... I know it only came out last year, but it's a live service game, and it's a game that potentially should have gone on for 5 years, if it's anything like what ESO's done, and it was Fallout 76. Obviously being
here's the thing, I'm going, is it Fallout or is it Anthem?
Well, I had absolutely no interest in Anthem anyway, so without sounding too hasty, it always looked shit. It was never something that I was going to get involved in.
I was the other hand, like seeing that first. I've mentioned it also on the Scoop previously. Feel free to check out Scoop on twitch.tv/icecreamupwards. There was one scene, and I remember it's like, it was a shit trailer in essence, because I think it was the Xbox conference or something, I can't remember what, but they do that thing where they, rather than going, okay, this is Luke in his mech suit and he flies and fights things, it was like, so yeah, my name's Luke and I'm in my bedroom playing or whatever, and I'm gonna jump online with Stacy, my friend, and she's gonna, and they do that fake banter and that was just a bit naff, like doing the in-joke stuff, like, yeah, but you always dieted those. And it's like, shut up, mate. But despite the naff banter, just the environments and seeing the creatures and like the way they were describing working together, I was like, this is class. This looks really good. And then I remember, like, fast forward 9 months, and I was like, nothing else has been seen. Well, if that's not warning signs, I don't know what is.
Absolutely, but it's Willis was mad into it. Like, as soon as he was like, Iron Man meets Destiny, mate, what can go wrong? It's like, and then he fucked up kind of thing. But yeah, it never looked good.
At this moment, he knew.
So I just, it sounds rich saying it now. Look, I knew it was going to fuck up. Do you know what I mean? I knew it was going to be a disaster, but nothing screamed out to me about being a good game. There was no mention of the campaign. There was no mention of what you're going to get from a live service game, especially from someone like EA, who, if they're going to put... When the cards are down, usually they'll give you a lot of things, whether or not it's hidden behind a paywall, who knows, but never really lacking content. FIFA's their golden egg. You can have a look at, they're currently doing Footmas now, so they're basically giving you loads of stuff to try and get hold of.
Well, you look at EA live service games and people that are projectile shooting out of the sky. Let's talk about Apex Legends. That they've smashed. Respawn have done that. Yeah, they've fucked up a few times with loot creative stuff that they've just kind of annoyed their community. But that is up there in conversations with the biggest or best launches ever using content creators, but definitely one of the best games of the years in terms of launches. But then you've got EA make that game and they oversaw that. Obviously Respawn, very good company. But then which part of EA made Anthem? I don't know.
Was it a BioWare or was it?
Yeah,
I think it was. Yes.
It was who used to be an amazing company. Used to be genuinely like one of my favourite studios before they got taken over by EA. And they made like Knights of the Old Republic 2 in the early Mass Effect games, and then like obviously with Mass Effect Andromeda a few years ago, there was all that sort of.
There's loads of talk on that, isn't there, in terms of like the confusion in terms of leadership at BioWare, because they did a really bad Mass Effect in terms of Andromeda. I didn't play any of them before.
One or two were amazing.
So I didn't play Mass Effect Andromeda, but from what I've seen, they went from being world-class games to meh, and like just weak stuff like bugs and stuff that just weren't picked up. Was that the one with like the dodgy face?
Yeah. Apparently it got patched fairly quickly, but it's as a Mass Effect game.
It's just done then, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you're trending on Twitter for all the things that you're doing wrong, your game's pretty much done straight away.
Well, the fact that like BioWare had done that after all of the done, and then there was clearly no real ownership or direction leading Anthem, and it just kind of got released again. That's like, poof, okay, you don't go, oh, that'll do. If you're a BioWare company, you go, wait, no, mate. That'll do as you announce yourself wonderfully. I swear the TV went off as I did that there.
It does. It loops for about 30 times. It's only like a 15-second video, and then like the 31st time it'll just restart.
Speaking about games that weren't very good though, just because I've seen your list and Bibbs has done the research on this, not me. Other ones that haven't been mentioned for disappointments of the year. And being told for glitches and stuff going wrong. Probably the one that did it the most this year. Especially, I mean, thinking about glitches and thinking about Mass Effect's dodgy faces and stuff like that. Throw that into one, and you have WWE 2K20.
Oh god, I don't know. That game is unsavable. Like I haven't heard anything for it for a while, which usually means that it's been buried. Like no one wants to talk about
it. The thing with WWE, and do you know what? I've seen something very very similar that reminds me of that. Is that the face like detailing, the graphics and the texturing, it looks like PS3 graphics. It does. It looks like last
year's looked great. Yeah. This year it took a step back. I don't know why.
It was Yuke's that have developed their games since the PS2 days, and Yuke's and 2K have split up, and is it like Creative Concepts or whatever, Virtual Concepts I think it was, which I believe is an in-house agency owned by 2K, or if not, it's a separate agency anyway. They're building it for the first time this year, and they've just not been able to do. I reckon. I mean, I don't know what the reason is. I reckon they've probably just bitten off more than they can chew in terms of 2K have gone, okay, we're parting way with Yuke's. Are you all right to pick this up? And they've gone, yeah, not realising just how much it is. So the texture and the levels of detail and skin for each individual player's face is pants compared to what it was last year. But then the bit that reminds me of is, if you watch the Game Awards, did you see the Fast and Furious video game announcement?
Oh god, that looks so bad.
I see. I'm thinking to myself, if it's a half decent Fast and Furious story and a half decent racing game, give me that bit of a crossover. I'm not the biggest fan of racing games, but something with a bit of story, I can take that. And then like I saw them on stage on a social media clip talking about, we're gamers, we love playing Tekken or whatever she says, and I was like, Tekken, but alright, whatever. And I thought, I'm still gonna. I'm quite hyped. I mean, loads of people hate the Fast and Furious films and love to hate on them, and they are a bit naff. But I mean, I don't mind a naff film, so I thought I don't mind a naff game either. Anyway, and then when I saw it, I was like, oh god, that's a naff game. No,
god, it looks like absolute crap. They've literally just pulled that from. There was a Fast and Furious game that actually came out on the Xbox 360, and it was just a shit game. It was just literally a racer one. It was one that my brother liked, and he was like 8 when it came out. So
there were 10 a penny. I know that different people have different passion for different games, different times, and like, can you say different anymore, Graham? But like, there was Midnight Club Los Angeles,
Dub Edition.
There we go. I knew he was going to love it. It was compared to most of the other racing games at that point in time, it was a bit naff and it was very samey. But it depends on what you played first at that sort of time, and it didn't really do anything much different from the Undergrounds and things like that. I played it. I quite liked it. But I know loads of people hate it, and I know with this, I think I could play this. I could like this, but just it just looks bad. And then when they're on stage, it comes out of nowhere, and you're thinking, oh, well, first announcement kind of thing. And it was only when I was listening to the Kind of Funny after that, like the Monday after, we obviously commented it on the Sunday.
Yeah.
They obviously, I think either they did it on the Friday. No, they did it on Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah, Friday afternoon to them. No, it's the Friday. Oh Jesus! We was out at the Twitch party when it was.
So they did
happening.
it on the Thursday.
Yeah, evening.
But I didn't listen to it until the Monday of the week after, and they were saying like kind of what I said, and it was only at that point that I realised, I thought, you know what, it might just be first look shit, and they could like Sonic the Hedgehog it and go from being like, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog to Sonic the Hedgehog, but they were like, no, it's actually out in May. I was like, oh damn, damn.
They've got to be doing something towards the end of this. How long? That's less than 5 months away before it comes out.
It's not enough time for the game to go gold 6 to 8 weeks beforehand, and
these are the kind of games that usually look really good as well, like the racing games and like the wrestling games and stuff like that as well. Like, from what I've seen, they're usually the games that look amazing graphically, because I guess there's just not that, especially something like wrestling, say WWE. Like, and maybe it's a naive way of looking at it, but there's not much to do really.
I think it's more the collision stuff in wrestling, whereas where in cars you can just basically just make them smash together and then they'll just fly apart. But there's no excuses for having poor graphics for something that was decent. That's the reason why people are taking the piss, because it was decent last year. Like
kind of what Luke was saying there. I do feel that, and the same thing, like you look at a wrestling game and you look at a football game and you look at a basketball game or whatever, you essentially have a minimal spectrum. You have a ring which has all of the focus, but then you have the arena which has much less of the focus, and the dudes in the ring, or ladies, or what's the female, all dudes is universal. The dudes in the ring, they have the majority of focus. And even going back to the PS2 days, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth and SmackDown Know Your Role, whatever, I remember Brock Lesnar being featured and say, and in the reviews and stuff, say, you look at the amount of detail on his face. Obviously his body was, you could tell it was supposed to be Brock Lesnar's body, and it was a bit shaded well, but his face was perfect, because they knew that that's going to be the bit that's used in the storylines and the cut scenes, and humans are kind of engineered to look at people in the face and whatever, and you fill in the blanks the rest with your mind, and these guys have gone, okay, we'll let them fill in the face with their mind. That's what we've got to do. No, you misheard me. No. It's as you've got like Brock Lesnar from Team America World Police there. But anyway, that's enough disappointment to kick things off, unless you want to add the last one that you've got on your list. I can see.
Nah.
Okay.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint, you're not even worth my time.
Get out of here.
So yeah.
Okay, so now, seeing as you controlled where we were steering this bad boy, get behind the wheel and tell us what's next, babe. Bibbs has had a seizure, for those of you on audio podcast service.
I'm debating which one to go for.
Too much Christmas turkey for Bibbs right now.
Exactly.
All right, okay. So what did you spend the most time playing this year?
I'm going to hazard a guess that Luke spent the most time playing...
I know what it is.
Smash Brothers World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft for Luke, PUBG for me.
Anyone who's watched any other episode, well, that's what I've got for mine.
Yeah, I think
yours is going to be World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think that's 3 out of 3. That, I mean,
oh yeah,
yourself.
Well, I mean, anyone that's listened to any kind of scoopage over the last 2.5 months will know exactly what he's been playing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason we've got a dinger in this place. You know what I mean?
Stop calling me that,
man. But yeah, okay. We'll start with me. ESO, obviously. I've had that game on my PS4 for about 3. No, I got it on release.
That wasn't an audible noise then. That was Christmas turkey beans.
The sprouts.
So I got it on release, and it was toilet, and I didn't play it for a long time until I seen one of the trailers for, I think it was Elsewhere, and it was like 3 months away from coming out, and I was like, oh my god, that looks amazing. So then I started going onto Twitch, and I was looking at everybody else's characters, and I was like, this looks like a massively different game from what I played like 2 or 3 years ago. So I downloaded it on my PS4 again, played through it, absolutely loved it. But then I seen people playing it on PC, and I thought, why am I playing it on PC? It's like £9, I'll go and buy that. And then I just literally played it every day, 2 hours a day. I think I put like 60 hours in 1 month, which to a lot of people isn't a lot.
By the way, 2 hours a day for a good 1 hour and 50 minutes was BB. When he was saying he was playing it, what he was doing was WhatsApping me videos of hacks and mods that people have done to it.
No, that was in Skyrim. Oh yeah, Skyrim mods. Oh god, what's that guy called? It's like MXR mods or something like that. I'm doing
seen
Skyrim
clips from that. Yeah.
But his mods are amazing for Skyrim. I'm not going to go into detail. Have a look for yourself. They're definitely not safe for work. But the Elder Scrolls Online, amazing game. I never thought I'd like it. I never thought I'd see it in this condition. I'm still paying my subscription to keep all the Madura, which we said in last week's or this week's show.
It was this. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a December scoop because we don't know the time difference between now and
But yeah, it's an amazing game now. If you're short of way of putting it, if you like Elder Scrolls games and you have never played an MMO before, please start with this one because it's amazing. The learning curve at the beginning isn't a lot, which is perfect really, because going into any kind of MMO it can be frightening really, because you don't know how to play the game. You're just chucked into a world with millions of other players, and you have to go and join guilds and level up your character, find the right armor that suits you, because you might be an elf or you might be I don't know, a knight, whatever. I don't know the World of Warcraft equivalents. But yeah, this game, to start off with, it gives you a really nice learning curve, the one that you can actually stick with, and then you can be a character like mine now who's absolutely flying. Absolutely love the game. If you like Elder Scrolls, please just try this game. You can pick it up for like £5 now. It's next to nothing.
no spawn. No spawn, by the way.
It isn't a spawn, but honest to God, if you want to sponsor me and give me a load of crowns so I can keep on buying new houses and new little cats to follow me about and that, please do, because that's what I like to see. But yeah, that's definitely probably the most game I've played. It's not my game of the year, it's my most played game of the year.
And your most played game?
Well, it is WoW.
Oh, thanks, mate. What about your most game? I was waiting for him to say WoW. I was like, if he says World of Warcraft here, I will be disappointed.
Wow. WoW Classic. I played it about 10 years ago.
Wow.
When it first came out. Wow.
It was just called WoW then, it wasn't WoW Classic.
Yeah, it wasn't WoW Classic. And, I'll be honest here, it came out around the time of when I went to uni, and whilst most people were going out sort of partying or whatever, I was inside my room playing World of Warcraft like a proper nerd.
It's like the beginning of that Zombieland film where the guy's just zombie apocalypse happening around him, he's just playing World of Warcraft.
Exactly. Yeah. But and my mates were playing it as well, so I was still being social. I'd like
Absolutely.
To think. And then, obviously, to come back to it 10 years later, it's that nostalgia factor. And this isn't like the only time on this show that I will be talking about the nostalgia factor. But, yeah, it's just going back to something that you've put so many hours in the past and revisiting it. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect. Obviously, it literally is exactly how the game was 10 years. They've not really done anything different. So games have advanced since then. Mm-hmm. So there are things like you were talking about how easy it is to just get into a game like that. For WoW, it is a bit intimidating, even though all of the games are kind of based on it. It's still like you have to download a load of plugins and stuff if you want to know what quest to go to next and stuff.
You see, that's why I never played it, because my mates was mad into it, and when I was looking at it, my mind was just blowing up. I seen all them shortcuts at the bottom with all your moves that you can do, all your casts and things. It just blew my mind, and I never got into it. If you don't download any of those things, you have to actually, read what these quest givers are telling you and within the story context, and then work out where you have to go using your brain and stuff. It's anyway, yeah, I've sunk quite a lot of time into it again. I'm about like level 30 something, but
just to sort of be honest about it, I have stopped playing it recently. It's kind of died down.
It's all right, Luke. We're amongst friends. It's fine. I mean, what I find funniest was you started your conversation by going like full disclosure. I was sat in my room playing games. Baby's playing Resident Evil 3 music.
How fucking nerd is that?
I was going to say we are sat in a studio talking about games of the year and decade and recording a podcast to put out on our channel on Christmas Day, because it is Christmas Day, obviously. So yeah, you're amongst. You are one of us.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you stop playing it though, you can get out.
Well, I've just had a look actually, because when you started playing it again, it had a massive resurgence, and it was leading the Twitch records at one point. It overtaken Fortnite, overtaken everything. And I don't know whether did it have its own category, because at the moment World of Warcraft is at 26,000.
No, it was
all got merged into that. But yes, it was fallen way down. So you've still got League of Legends, Counter Strike's gone back up.
The interesting thing to see though is like I always kind of take Twitch categories since we've got them there. So League of Legends and CS:GO, the esport of that can make that go between 15,000 and 150,000 in minutes. So those are kind of takeaways ever present. Just chatting isn't really a category, as so to speak, so we can get rid of that. But then you've got things like Fortnite, which has is so seasonal, it fluctuates. Path of Exile, wow, okay, something must have happened. Modern Warfare, I mean, it's got its 2-3 months and it'll drop off, but the season pass could change it. Hearthstones and GTAs and things like that I could see there. So it's at a good strong resting rate at the moment, but I think
I don't have to scroll. If you don't have to scroll on your browser, you're still doing all right, because the field of view, as soon as you log in, they're the things that you're going to be seeing. You're sounding that anything in the top 2 rows. But I mean, World of Warcraft for at least a month was top of the charts. Like you couldn't get enough of it. Everywhere. I even reinvested watching Shroud play it for a stupid amount of hours.
Maybe like Shroud.
Who'd thought that? But yeah, because I never played it originally, and two of my best mates just couldn't get off it. That was their weekends. I wanted to try and have a look at it, because now I've got an MMO head. I think because I've matured a little bit since then.
What was different about you? It's got an MMO head.
Well, my gaming tastes have obviously matured over time. I think I could probably get into it now because I've played a few MMOs.
It is relentless. Not relentless, kind of unforgiving to play. I think though, like if you're used to other sort of MMOs, then to go into you have to like grind a lot more, and it's just a lot. I don't know, like other games have become easier perhaps now, but it's like time consuming more than anything, more than it's difficult. And perhaps to its detriment now. I think we're less forgiving of that nowadays. Like games have got easier over time, haven't they?
They hold your hand a lot more now. Yeah. Because people haven't got. I don't think people have as much time as they used to invest in these games. Because I most certainly haven't. So having a 6-7 hour raid at a weekend just isn't going to be viable for me. I ain't going to do that. I don't think many people do. It's
interesting because I'll use that as a point to cross into my game, which surprisingly is PUBG. Is that's kind of, I think that doesn't have 6 to 7 hours. It has 30 minutes and you're done, kind of thing. So it is very different in that sense. But I think part of the reason why it resonates so well with PC players, and obviously the more that time goes on and the quality of life improvements get put in and stuff, that this will change. But PUBG was stupidly difficult. I mean, you could win a game of Fortnite fairly quickly, as I found out earlier on today. So full disclosure, we filmed this obviously before Christmas. We're speaking about currently as we're filming this, the Star Wars update is in Fortnite, and we were going to have a squad game. We didn't have 4 machines set up, so 3 jumped on and smashed the squad battle. So Luke was the only one that didn't get to take part. He was playing as my account, so I won. Anyway, so yeah, PUBG having that level of difficulty and being, even now, I mean, even more so now because everyone knows how to play the game now, but it being stupidly difficult, jumping in with nothing, you could get all the luck against you, and you could wait 5 minutes to get into a game because you're choosing to load into a game. You load into a lobby that's got no timer on the counter. It fills up. You get a minute on the counter. Then you get into a play, and then you fly across the map, and you drop down to the floor, and you find a pistol. Oh, and a pistol. Oh, and a pistol. And then the Terminator walks through a door like, Sarah Connor.
Take you out.
Yeah. So, but the thing that I do like about it is this year for gaming for me has been probably different compared to every other year. I haven't played much football games in general over the last year, and it's dropped off from the year before to this is the least I've ever played football games ever, which that's always formed a big part of my my year, be it usually offline stuff, but even that I've not really touched any of that sort of stuff. And I've not really played any single-player games either. So having something like that, partially because I'm busy, partially because I want the motivation to get up and play something new. And I am quite motivated for Christmas because of Christmas time. Obviously, this is going out Christmas Day. So at this point in time, I'm going to be bacon and sausaged up from breakfast, and I'm going to be sat there probably an hour or two, either into Star Wars or I don't know. Maybe I might play. Not seriously, God of War or the Spider-Mans or the big games of this generation that have been out for the last year and a half. That within that time I've not really played much, so I have a lot to play for. So yeah, good. PUBG, my most played game of the year. You will be surprised to hear.
Well, I'll tell you what then. On that then, we talked about our most played game of the years, which not necessarily your favourite game of the year. What is your game of the year then?
In that, are we talking about games this year or game that I've played in this year? Because
I'll tell you what, I'll leave it open ended then. What game of your favourite gaming moment of the year? Then we'll call it that.
I have mentioned this on stream on the Scoop previously, and I'm saying it's my favourite gaming moment because didn't expect it and would never have expected it. I like to be caught off guard. A few times I've mentioned like playing. The paper one, what's it called? The
paper one.
Yeah, it's made by the people that made Little Big Planet.
Tearaway,
that's the one. So a few times I've mentioned me playing that, and because it was on my Vita, and I thought, oh well, I need a game for my Vita, so I'll try that, and it was really good. Playing Overcooked with the missus, with the family.
Expecting that.
So yeah, Overcooked is my. I know, obviously, technically it came out August last year. Although we'll give it a free pass because I didn't play it till this year, and the DLC is still coming out. So, well, let's just say I played the DLC for Overcooked 2 this year. So, yeah. Technically, I only played the first Overcooked. I have Overcooked 2 and will be playing all of that and all of the DLC, which I have access to as well over Christmas. So, Overcooked has been my game of the year, and that gaming moment, it was the first time. No, do you know what? Actually, it's probably the first time ever. Actually, no, it's not the first time ever. The first time ever, me, Danielle, and Chloe sat down as a family playing a game, and that's kind of like dad moment. She's made it. She's a gamer now.
She's got her own pad now.
So the first time that happened technically was on the Switch with Mario Kart, but the first time we did it on the PlayStation was Overcooked. Me absolutely berating my family for not being fast enough.
Chopping
the lettuce. I've got bread. I've got tomato. What am I going to do? We're like a burger. I need lettuce on it. I can't serve that, can I? God.
Great.
So yeah, Overcooked. Luke.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to say gaming moment, and I'm going to say more like moment to do with games than playing games.
That's fine.
That's good. Your gaming moment,
because it was an announcement. This is probably not something that's going to interest either of you guys, to be honest.
You're building this up really well.
Where's this going?
Well, I don't know if you guys are fans of Command and Conquer. I don't think you are. But for me, Command and Conquer was a strategy series that I played when I was like a young kid. And again, like I mentioned, how nostalgia was going to come up again, right? So these first Command and Conquer games that came out in like the mid-90s, they out of the blue announced they're going to remaster, and it was by the guys who originally made it as well, not just like EA who have just decided we're going to make some money out of it.
Dungeon Keeper, we want to release it on mobile phones, paywalls everywhere.
Exactly, yeah. So they've been communicating with fans on Reddit. How do you want this to be, and showing updates and stuff like that. First like HD models and stuff like that.
That's badass.
So I'm really hopeful for it. I think it's going to come out sort of mid next year, hopefully, something like that. So that was my gaming moment, just knowing that that's coming out, and I will be someone who, if there's like a super special £100 edition, I will buy that sort of thing, because I just love those games.
Well, I've actually got at home, I'm sure I've still got it, the Command & Conquer, I don't know which one it is, it's got 4 discs in it.
Oh, it might be the original. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, if it is, you can have it because I ain't gonna play it again. It's in like a collector's box thing, so I'll bring it in for you.
Oh, amazing. That'd be great to look
Merry
at.
Christmas.
Cheers,
I'm never gonna use it.
Yeah.
I got it obviously when it came out, whenever it came out. Because I did used to play them. Red Alert, I remember going to Mike's house and him having a PlayStation on one side of the room and me on the other, using like a link cable between the PS1s. That's how we used to play it.
I played. Command & Conquer was pre-PlayStation, wasn't it? I played one on the SNES. I'm pretty sure that was.
Yeah,
a
there was one. It kind of came out around 95, 96 on the PC, and then I think when the PlayStation came out, there was one a couple of years later. They ported it to it. I did play it with my mates for a bit, but it's, if you imagine your typical sort of top-down strategy game and controlling it with a PlayStation, it wasn't even like it had analog sticks.
Stick. Some say he plays games with a stick.
It was just like the D-pad, so it was like really difficult to play with.
Well, the first one I played was a SNES one. Like I say, I'm fairly sure it was the first Command & Conquer, or one of the first, if not the first. I'd not played too many, and I remember thinking, it's not for me, is this? Because I'm at that point in time, I'm playing like Street Fighters and Mario Karts and whatever. And me and my brother, I remember one summer, it was like middle of 6-week holidays, burning hot sunshine outside, so we were kind of like, well, I mean, you can tell why I'm pasty white. So we was like, we'll just sit inside, we'll play games, and we no manual or anything. And bear in mind, we'd not seen it, we didn't know anything about it, so we were just like, oh great, what, we get to put stuff down. And then it just kind of like, okay, what's happening now? And it was, I can't remember if it was a timer or whatever. You got to build your base kind of thing, and or you got a set amount of moves. I can't remember it all. Anyway, this rockets come over, like, fucking spent ages putting that together, dickhead. So and then we figured it out. But then when we figured it out, it was like the challenge of trying to get rockets through their defenses and take stuff out. It was. I remember it being like one of the level, like first one. It was like. It was kind of our army versus a fridge, and it was like, it wasn't a fridge. It might as well have been a fridge, which is a PS5, by the way. But yeah, I mean, the difficulty kind of went up. I remember getting to a point where it was like stupidly hard, and they kept wiping out all our missile silos and everything. And I was like, we're not going to do it. And then eventually, just getting this one rocket that went straight through all of their defenses. It was kind of like a roll of the dice. I mean, if I fire my rocket straight down this middle alley, all their stuff's going to take it out on the way through. And they managed to get all the way through, hit something, take something out, and that was like game changer then.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that sort of SNES version, but or how different.
So you call yourself a Command & Conquer fan? You played it before. Do you know? I'll have them discs off your bit.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Merry Christmas, me.
But
Nostalgia that.
Exactly.
You're gonna get people on the comments going, there wasn't even one for SNES, you dickhead.
Yeah. No, that was Conquer and Command, which was a daft version. Actually, Graham.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my gaming moment. I also put down that WoW Classic was announced as that sort of a gaming moment as well. But I won't go into that because it was already mentioned.
Wow.
So I know. Proper nostalgia.
Gaming moment, babe.
I think we can skip this one because we all know what it's going to be.
Something exciting in the games world for Bib. I mean, he's our resident guy that plays games. I mean, it would be evil of you to let him get to his point.
So yeah, Resident Evil 2 coming out, and absolutely, it felt like a lifetime. It technically was a lifetime. Well, it was over 20 years. It came out in 97, so yeah, 22 years after the original came out. We finally got there, lads. So when it came out, we streamed it on air for 8 hours that day, and then I went home and then finished it, and then I started it the next day with Claire's character. So it was literally just a fun-filled weekend of just absolutely hammering home Resident Evil 2. It was everything and more that I could ever imagine.
Do you know what I find most impressive? And this is probably a new gaming moment of the year, is the fact that even now people still believe that Bibby likes Resident Evil. He absolutely hates it, and he's like Bill. Do you know?
Someone has to like it.
Do you know? Like Dr. Disrespect has this persona of, he's like the most dominating athlete. His persona is a guy that likes Resident Evil, and I was like, that's not really something anyone's going to believe in. And he just keeps going on with it. I said, we know you don't like it at all. I mean, you've seen it. Fortnite expert over here. 1 game, 1 win today. Bam, 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 bam.
Everyone had touched
2 games, 1 win. I mean, it was really 1 game, 1 win over again. On my account, by the way.
Well, to be fair, the last time I played Fortnite in the office, I won that as a solo as well. So.
True.
No, I mean, I've clearly just got the gift. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 coming out this year. It got announced 2 years ago that it was going to be coming out. I had absolutely no expectations of what it was going to look like. I didn't know whether it was going to be Tank. I didn't know whether or not it was going to change it up to be like a Resident Evil Revelations, or for most people who know it more commonly, Over the Shoulder, like Resident Evil 4 and 5. But yeah, it absolutely blew everything out of the water for me. I'm absolutely devastated it didn't win Game of the Year, because it definitely should have been up there. It's the people who have played it. I don't think there was enough people that played it. That's the problem. Because if you're coming up against Kojima,
it's no Death Stranding, mate.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem though, because everybody knows who Kojima is.
Yeah,
not everyone has played.
The thing is though, Kojima didn't win Game of the Year. He won there's a common thing that gets mentioned around all of the games industry journalists is there's Game of the Year and then there's director or game direction of the year or something like that, and that's almost like, okay, you didn't win Game of the Year, but you can get best direction, I mean, the direction is everything within the game, so you didn't win the Game of the Year, but everything about it deserves to win, and that's kind of what happened.
Well, it was Sekiro that won Game of the Year, didn't it? But like, I don't want to say how, because clearly there's not enough people that thought it was absolutely an amazing game, but how? I must have been down a well when all that was going on, because I knew it was out.
I didn't even know anything about it, really, myself.
But
see, Sekiro for me, and clearly I'm not the audience for Sekiro for me for a long time, I was excited about, but only because I thought it was Ghost of Tsushima. that is true. Yeah. I remember seeing the Ghost of Tsushima trailer at like E3 last year, before, whenever it was, all the years merged into one. I'm thinking, people keep talking about Sekiro. I was like, it looks really good, does that? And that clip where you see in the like Tenchu-esque housing and and no wonder now people are like.
There's only one person that I know who's in my friendship group, and it's Craig upstairs, that's actually played it. I don't know anybody on my people who follow me on Twitter or what. I haven't seen anybody play this game, so it must just be.
It's weird,
it is weird. Clearly, it's a good game.
Yeah, obviously deserves it, but
it's fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if this is a good point to sort of pose the hypothesis, shall we say, that I don't know what you guys think. This year was not as good for games as the last couple of years.
Correct.
Yeah, what do you think, Louis?
I agree.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because there's been games that have come out this year that are actually quite decent. You've played the Outer Worlds, and now as a Fallout New Vegas fan, the fact that they've gone on and Fallout 76 has been the shit show that it has been, that the Outer Worlds has come out and just completely blown everybody out of the water with the game, that's obviously going to be up there. You've had Gears 5 come out and make a comeback. COD Modern Warfare has ripped up the rule book about what COD's meant to be and thrown it out there, and that's people are actually enjoying that for once. And then you've got Resident Evil that's been announced and come out this year. I don't think it's been a bad year. I just don't think it's been one a month has come out that's blown people's socks off.
Last year, it's not been a bad year in that sense. It has been a bad year in comparison to last year, but last year was exceptional. You've kind of hit the ceiling of a generation kind of thing. You've got the Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, and Xbox might have done some stuff as well. But like that. Like all within just half a year, and then obviously there was a million and one things. I bet if you scroll down, obviously we got the likes of Fortnite and PUBG, which is easy to take for granted now, but obviously technically they were the end of the year before. But
is Fortnite 2 the biggest bang of the year? Fortnite 2, I'm saying that is chapter 2. But what happened social media wise with them and everything that they include in the game? It was people was watching a dot on the screen. 2 million people for 24 hours was watching a dot on the screen.
Well, that ties neatly into one of the subjects that we had to talk about, which was biggest shock of the year. So what is our biggest shock, or moments that might have caught us off guard? So shock doesn't necessarily have to be positive or negative. It could be whichever one you want it to be. And one of the points that I've mentioned was the Fortnite black hole. I was firmly off the Fortnite hype train. I never got on it. I did, but it was kind of... I got onto Wii Sports is
8,500 people are watching
because
Wii
it's
Sports.
all on the Yogscast channel. That's why.
Okay.
So cheers Yogscast. Just mess up Twitch.
Just boosting right
up. Biggest shock, Fortnite black hole. Like I said, I was never not on the Fortnite hype train. I really liked Fortnite, particularly at Christmas, where we were all playing in the office. And the downside for Fortnite was that I played PUBG at exactly the same time, and for me, that's my kind of game. So I've just never played Fortnite. I'm thinking, if I want a VR experience, I'm going to play PUBG. However, playing it today and seeing the lightsaber shit, thinking, okay, maybe that's like a Star Wars VR experience. I'm on board for that. So Fortnite's Black Hole event, taking the biggest selling game of, I mean, there's many different ways of saying it. Let's just say probably the biggest or the most impactful game ever in terms of one solo game doing more in a short space of time than most games done. Obviously, you've got the Minecraft that does things forever. You've got GTA, continuous service and stuff, but very few things have the kind of cultural cut through, pushing games industry into the mainstream, into playgrounds and everything like Fortnite has done. So seeing that game do all of that and then go, oh, you can't play for 2 days. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's basically taken over Twitter for 2 days, didn't it? Even though I think it was off for about 4 or 5 days, maybe.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's the fact that you couldn't go on Twitter without it being trending for 2 days was just a game that was not on the decline, but it started to lose its
had its saturation.
Yeah. And then for everyone, as soon as it comes back, like as soon as the day that the service came back and we was in the office, it was like, fuck it, get that installed, we'll give it a go. So
we covered it on the scoop, and then within 40 minutes of the scoop finishing, Lewis was in a game upstairs, getting smashed by bots. But still, you tried, Lewis. Though. You tried me.
So the fact that, like I said, it reached a saturation, and lapsed players, I won't call me a lapsed player because I didn't really play it when it came out, but I wanted to go back and I wanted to see what the fuss was about. It was the cheapest marketing that they could have possibly ever done, and it's paid off.
Although it probably wasn't cheapest, because the amount of in-game transactions and stuff that they'd lost out of the V-Buck sales for that point in time, they probably did lose, but then they'd have gone boom as soon as everyone comes back on day one. So that for me was one of the biggest shocks. Do you know, I'm going to run through mine quickly because I want to just say my biggest shock that I put down as a bit of a joke is my biggest shock of 2019 is liking Star Wars Battlefront 2 because it was my biggest negative. But I don't know. I'm quickly scanning past it because I just wanted to mention that obviously I've put Star Wars down as my biggest disappointment, and after seeing the trailer for the Celebration Edition, which came out on 17th of December, I know that because it was yesterday, but seeing that trailer come out and seeing the powerful stuff, we watched it on the Scoop, and it was incredible, and having many conversations around that Star Wars Battlefront 2, and people that have played it and people that have come back to it and gone, do you know what, it's a very different game, and a lot of people saying, do you know what, don't like to say this, but fair play to it, EA, because they've taken it, they've run with it, probably kind of had to because Disney would have fucked them up, but even still, whatever the reasoning, it's turned into a good game. So I'm at the point where I'm thinking, okay, I'll give it another go. My Super Deluxe Relux Super Dux Rubber Ducks edition of Star Wars Battlefront 2 Stormtrooper jobby that I bought, that I played for a couple of days and gave up on, I might dig it back out. Now Star Wars Battlefront 2 potentially has more than I just played with a 7-hour story campaign. It might have a bit more. Anyway, but my biggest shock, and it's probably I've got it here and I've wrote in my notes just to remember why. Time relevance is the Xbox Series X, and not the fact that it's a shock. We kind of expected it was coming. Didn't expect it to be this year. By the time we'd got past E3s and all that, and we'd hit end of November, you are only left with the Game Awards relay. Yes, there was a PSX, and I said on the Scoop, there is no way that we will see anything about the PS5 or Microsoft's consoles within the Game Awards. They want to control their narrative on their platforms, so it's not going to happen. Boom! Xbox Series X. I was like, fucking hell, didn't expect that, motherfucker. So Merry Christmas with the language, by the way. Sorry. If your mum's in the room, I'm sorry, I'm not usually like this. It's a little bit Christmas sherry. Sorry, no. So yes, Xbox Series X announcement, placement and timing, that's what threw me off. So and do you know what, actually also thinking about it now, because do you know it's Christmas Day, your turkey's in the oven, you're getting ready, you're excited, I know you are, I know. Imagine just at the point of Christmas going, whoa, new Xbox, and Dad's there with his wallet going, new one. Puts his wallet back in his pocket. Little Yorkshire kids are like, but Dad, I want to play some Fortnite, because that's what kids from Yorkshire sound like, by the way. So
Accurate.
I don't know what that's talking about. So yeah, I am actually from Yorkshire. So if you're offended, then I'm one of you. It's fine. So yes, that was my biggest shock: the timing of the Xbox Series X. What about you, Bib?
Well, I've written down two things now.
Oh, it actually says two things. Nice.
Written down two things. So one of them technically happened last year, but I think we felt the repercussions of it this year, which was Telltale going under. We actually thought that we never would get another Telltale game again, but they've resurfaced and managed to get the final season of The Walking Dead out the door, which to a lot of people meant a lot because it was literally the final season. You needed to see what happened to Clementine, how her journey continued. So the fact that they went under just as they were starting to put that out into production kind of sucked. But it looks like they've someone's bought their IP or something.
Yeah, it was quite a weird one. Telltale went under, and they weren't salvaged or anything, so they went, and all of their titles went with them. Meaning the only way that you can get them is to take over the whole thing. You couldn't go, we'll do a minimum price buyout and whatever. So someone bought all their IPs. But I can't the name of the company. This company was a smallish developer.
LCG, is it?
Something like that, a bunch of letters. I kept thinking of PGC, which was the PUBG Global Championship.
PDC, Premier Darts Championship.
WBO. So yeah, the WWE bought Telltale. But then BBC decided that we don't want to be called BBC, so at this point I've run out of acronyms. GCSE changed their name to be Telltale, so LGC, they were like, we bought it, okay, we are now Telltale, because they're a bigger brand, it carries more weight, and we're going to take all their titles and stuff. So on one hand I'm thinking that's pretty class, but on the other hand I'm thinking that's like Bibby going, do you know what, guys, I'm done for work. Leaves the door, and then I come in with like a wig, like and a Christmas jumper going. And it's like, yeah, but you're not really Bibby, we can clearly tell. But apparently, I hear that they have a lot of the same development team and things working on it. Which, so in that case, I'm thinking, okay, suddenly my laugh becomes like a. Which is like, it's a bit closer. Still not quite right.
We have turned the gain up on the microphone, so I do very much apologise if any windows have just been put through by that noise.
Merry Christmas.
So yeah, the fact that Telltale have come back-ish and potentially be bringing out. We've seen that The Wolf Amongst Us 2 is going to be happening. What that means for the Stranger Things that got announced but then died, what that's going to be, we'll never know.
The interesting thing is they do have a lot of the same team, but when The Wolf Among Us 2 got announced at the Game Awards, one of the guys from the development team basically said, I can see what they're doing from this already, that it's not the game that we were going to make. So do they have the same team? They have some of them, fair enough. But this guy, I don't know who he is. I don't know enough about the individuals at Telltale to be able to comment on it deeply. But he was a verified account on Twitter, and you don't become a verified account by being one of many devs in a product. So he's there clearly some sort of lead within the team. So if he's a story lead in terms of producing the story, and he clearly knows enough about the story to say it's different. My worry is one thing that Telltale did. They didn't necessarily have the greatest technology, but they had great stories. So if they've lost the people that can create the stories, and they're doing their own stories, so if
what do they have left?
ABCD, this new company, LCG by the way again, so if they've taken over and they've got rid of the story makers, they've got people that can code, but they don't have the people that can turn that into something fantastic. Then my worry is that the Wolf Among Us 2 could be a bit.
Well,
not that I ever played the first.
We'll see where that goes then, because that I don't want to say that their new company is solely relying on how well that the Wolf Amongst Us 2 does. I think they've got enough IPs behind them with the fact of Game of Thrones. I mentioned Walking Dead is now finished, so there won't be another one of those coming out. You've got Game of Thrones. They've only had one season, I believe, of that. They've already many years ago released the Back to the Future one, so I can't see them touching that one anytime soon. But they've definitely got other stories that they could. The Tales from the Borderlands was another fantastic one that they've only managed to do one season on. So they've got really high-profile stories that they can tell. I hope that they're not putting all the eggs in the basket of The Wolf Amongst Us, because for me, I think of all the ones that they made, is probably the weakest one that they can go with. I mean, if there's going to be people that are going to take the piss out of me for that one, but for me personally, out of the ones that I've just mentioned, then know the least about, at least asked out of all of them.
I mean, I don't know enough. My assumption would be that The Walking Dead is owned by production companies, Back to the Future production companies, Game of Thrones, HBO, and same with quite a few titles, Strange Things, once more Netflix. But then you get to The Wolf Among Us. That was their own title, was
I
it?
don't think it is, no. I'm sure Wolf Among Us was a comic book made many years ago.
Okay, well, it shows what I know. But even still, I mean, is it a title that just doesn't carry the same sort of financial input? In other words, is it
the cheapest?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's probably the better profit margin for them to go from there. So they might be able to see that and go, okay, this is if this does well, then we know that we can invest on HBO type.
Like, don't get me wrong, I've seen people going on Twitter going mad for it. The fact that they're bringing out The Wolf Amongst Us 2, it clearly resonates with a lot of people. But for me, looking at the list of games that they've produced in the past, it's 100% the weakest one that they're going to put out. Storyline wise, I'd never played it.
By the way, if you're in the Twitch comment, the YouTube comment, should I say right now, then we fine. Just go in on us. It's fine. Man, I didn't even know it was a comic. Maybe doesn't think it's going to be very good.
No idea.
I mean, just talks about World of Warcraft anyway.
Exactly.
So.
Before I get my house petrol bombed, I'll move on to the next thing. Keanu Reeves appearing at E3.
You're breathtaking!
And no one's seen that one coming. Nobody in the gaming industry knew that would have been happening.
That was incredible. It was breathtaking on many levels, in the fact that I was in LA. I was minutes away from this. I wasn't in the actual... didn't get to see Keanu, but I was there nearby, and the thing with the games industry is, even if you don't know what the big announcement is, what the detail is, you know roughly, and nobody until like minutes before knew that there was even any sort of VIP person appearance. Sure. So not only did Microsoft and all of their staff, their social media, their stage crew and everything, plus The Witcher and all their team and CD Projekt Red, all of those had gone through all of that and the recording and production, everything leading up to it, and managed to get to that point. To do that, it sounds daft, and you will see loads of games. Some companies are really bad for it. Everything gets out before time. Always. In this world, when you've got something so grand, if you get to a day before the event and it's not leaked, a week before the event-ish, and it's not leaked, you've done really, really well. There's so many moving parts, so for something so big to get there, and him to walk out on the stage with no one expecting it.
They literally must have thrown a towel over his head the entire time.
I mean, that's what his hair looks like, for God's sake.
Well, there is no way. I mean, that many people behind the curtain that didn't see him, that would have either Snapchatted it, Instagram lived it, Facebooked it, tweeted it to say Keanu Reeves is in the building.
True.
Not every single person there is going to be NDA'd. Everyone who's behind that curtain. So the fact that he managed to get him, fair enough, he could live in LA, so it wasn't that much of a trip for him. But the fact that he managed
to get... Keanu Reeves, he'll get on like an underground and he'll pay for some old lady to come on next.
That's what I mean. The fact that, like you said, they managed to keep it a secret all day. Like I said, if he lived in LA, it's not that big of a deal because Keanu Reeves is in LA. Oh, he lives there. Who gives a shit? But the fact that he managed to get into the building, get behind the curtain, and then come out onto the stage, that they kept that under wraps. I can't believe that they managed to do it. Not one person knew that was happening apart from the people who worked at CJ Projekt.
There was just enough of a rumble. Probably, I want to say, when I say rumble, I mean like, I think the show had even started. Maybe not. I was in LA and busy as feck, but maybe it hadn't started. But if not, it was about to start. And then there was like we've been told there's some sort of VIP or whatever. And I don't know if that was official Xbox accounts or CD Projekt Red or just industry stuff. And it had started to go. But even then, there may be a VIP. It's like nobody knows what it is.
Yeah, it could be anybody who's going to be turning up.
It could just be like the boss of Nintendo or Xbox.
Although the little green bird comes out on the stage. I wish I could fly.
Well, as I said, the fact that they managed to get him into the centre, get him behind the curtain, and nobody knew who was going to walk out from there. It is unbelievable, like I said, in this day and age. So that, I think, is that going to be hard to emulate for any other game that decides to use mocap characters? Like, is the next Kojima game the potential horror one that might have Norman Reedus in it, and potentially other stars that want to get involved in his project? Are they going to have the same effects after that? Because trying to do this again and replicate it, I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon.
I think any smart company wouldn't try to replicate it in that sort of way. I think having them walk out on the stage and fine, but the difference is usually brands are like, I've got all the money. Yeah. So it's like let's look at Death Stranding. Oh, we've got Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus and Leo Seydoux and Del Toro and whatever. Everyone from the off. The very first trailer had. I don't think it had Leo Seydoux in it.
It had GDT in it.
But and Mads Mikkelsen, because he was in the thing, and we already knew Norman Reedus was in it. So at that point, 3 Hollywood level stars, well, differing levels, different directors, actors, whatever. But 3 potential household names there from the off, whereas Cyberpunk, you didn't know what your character was, you didn't know who the protagonist was, and that was it. There was like, oh, by the way, boom, blockbuster.
Well, Cyberpunk was always going to sell well. The amount of hype that game delivered before we even knew that Keanu Reeves was going to be in it anyway. So that's it. Yeah. So anything that they would have done on top of that is just topping up the amount of money that they're going to be getting. Because people who potentially would have been on the fence and liked John Wick and Speed or whatever else he's been in, would have thought, shit, Keanu's in it. And the fact that he's come out since that and said he wants to be in the game more means that they're going to develop a storyline, hopefully a little bit more around his character.
Well, so it's interesting, I presume, because you don't play as him, do you?
No.
He's just a character in the game. But often, for example, with Death Stranding, I mean, you do play as Norman Reedus, right? So it feels like, in a way, it was more of a afterthought, almost like they didn't know from the start that they were going to have him in the game. So, but maybe that actually kind of helped the surprise element.
That's
because, like you say, the first trailer went out and he wasn't to be seen because maybe it hadn't even been agreed yet. Whereas, like you were kind of touching upon, you had so many like famous people already in Death Stranding that it wouldn't have been a surprise if another few celebrities had turned up anyway.
The cool thing is though, like speaking of celebrities and like Hollywood-esque level ones, I remember working on the Metal Gear Solid 5 social campaign. Kiefer Sutherland obviously brought in as the voice and mocap actor for Snake, so we got loads of video stuff, that them infamous scenes where he's got all those balls on his face, like the mocap mapping thing, and all the balls on his face. That's what she said.
I'm trying to keep it
sexy. So he's got all, and he's going like just so they can show Snake's face doing the same thing alongside him. But I remember like Kiefer Sutherland did very, very little around Metal Gear Solid. For him, it was clearly a paycheck kind of thing. He's like, yeah, love the game so much that I didn't do much apart from got paid and did my lines. And there was very little narrative in Metal Gear compared to Metal Gear. Like David Hayter going through all these dramatic monologues and stuff like that. And that's because Hollywood actors get paid by the word, by the hour, by the time in the recording studio kind of thing. And that can change games for the better, for the worse. If you want a less narrative heavy game, which arguably Metal Gear Solid 5 was demanded for. A lot of people hated the stories and the cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4. You get rid of the cutscenes and the monologue, then you got less words time. So it works that way. But it also hampers your game in terms of you've got no exposure. You don't feel attached. I never once felt that I'm playing anything with Kiefer Sutherland. I felt I was playing as this new look Solid Snake. Whereas playing, knowing that Keanu's walked out on stage, kind of like bent down, pointed at someone and said, no, you're breathtaking, and done all the wholesome Keanu Reeves stuff that he does, and then really wants to get involved with the game. I mean, it could just be PR shit that he's been told to say, but it's PR shit that he actually said. Whether he was told to say it or not, we didn't get any of that sort of stuff with Kiefer Sutherland. So Kiefer Sutherland's just gone back to being Jack Bauer in 24 because that's what I remember him from. Now suddenly I'm playing as Bill and Ted and Jack from Speed as it's the fact that he's embracing his building the role. So definitely. And I mean, I hope it works, and I think the fact that they've actually rolled him out on the stage as well. I mean, we all know The Witcher 3 did good. CD Projekt Red clearly cashed in on that, but they believe in themselves enough to go, okay, well, we'll get a Hollywood movie star and we'll pay his rate to make sure that this game hits the big heights.
So that was they were my two.
Well, funnily enough, I did have Cyberpunk down myself as well for the same point. So I'm thinking off the top of my head now, it wasn't a shock, But I suppose maybe
it's
we mentioned
something to do with WoW.
maybe we just mentioned that the Nintendo Lite came out because I don't think we would have known that, say, this time last year, for instance. So
Yeah.
it did kind of come out quite quickly, really.
Wouldn't have called it. I mean, the Nintendo is it just called the Lite or is it a Switch
sorry,
Lite?
the Switch Lite.
Because it wasn't the thing about the Switch that it turned into a home console and the things came off, and that was the point of it switching.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
kind
the
of shocking, actually.
so it's almost like saying the Nintendo do. And then this is like the Nintendo don't, because this do switch, this don't switch, so kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I wouldn't have called it, but the point behind it is pretty good because we've said quite a few times like we don't tend to dock it too often. You do sometimes when you're at home, kind of thing, but having that like attaching it to your chair with your arm.
That's perfect, mate.
Yeah, see that. That for me is
games.
better than like putting it on. For those who don't know, Bibby has got like one of those like phone mount things, and he kind of like clipped it to his recliner chair with his screen in front of him, so he's chilled out like a boss with his controllers in his hand. Personal one-man TV.
That's how you do it.
Yeah,
No, I didn't see it coming. I thought they would have had more traction because I was seeing a lot more about it with the Switch Pro. So there's going to put a better chipset in, extend the battery life and things like that. So you could play games at 1080 in your hand and 1080 in the dock rather than 720 in your hand and 1080 in the dock.
Yeah.
So I thought that would have had more traction, but to be honest with you, I never thought I'd see a smaller, slimline version of the console coming out before that.
I was quite surprised. I mean, my kind of issues with the DS generation, they sold shitloads and so on. My issue with the DS issue was that there was so many consoles. By the time you got to the end of it, it was like, it's another DS. So I was thinking, like when the Lite came out, it was kind of like, it's another Switch. It's just going to be another one of those. We've got the grey ones, and we've got the multicolored ones, and we've got the Pikachu ones, and we got and all of the Switches. But then by the time that came out, and I realised actually, Switch's game catalogue is starting to look a bit tastier now. There's more and more and more.
It was priced perfectly as well. I think it was $189 with Pokemon.
I think that's kind of what I spent ish. We got Pokemon and Mario Kart with it, kind of thing. So yeah, by that point I was thinking, I mean, I don't know whether I'm kind of crippled by hindsight here because I'm thinking, did they need to release the Lite version? Could they have done could they have gone, okay, well, we are confident in our generation now, we don't need a Lite, we can have our main one and then we can have the Pro version. But then I'm thinking, if they didn't do stuff like releasing the Lite version, all those stupid versions, would they get to the point where they've become such a big brand for this generation? So
well, they did bring out another Switch as well, like a normal version Switch with just better battery life. So we've had 2 revisions. We've had a smaller version, and we've also had one with an extended battery version. The next version has to be a Pro version. It has to be. I like the fact that they brought out the Lite version basically for children, and it's a smaller screen. It's a lot less demanding. You can't plug it into your TV, so it literally is strictly for handheld. But I'd love to see how many people actually dock it, because a lot of people from Twitter, from the people I'm following as well, don't seem to dock it that often.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I don't, unless I'm playing with Samantha, really. If we're playing on the big TV, like Puyo Puyo Tetris or whatever the shit is.
I'd say
sounds like a game for me.
To its to complement it, the Lite as well, it does look really nice.
Do you know, the Lite looks more like my kind of console than the Switch does.
Yeah. So even though I'd be hasty to sort of, in fact, literally Jamie before was asking, I'm going to get a Switch for my daughter, I'm wondering between the Lite and the normal version, and I kind of still came to the conclusion, because he was talking about, he could dock it and that, and then it was like, all right, well, you should get the original version then. I still find it difficult to recommend the Lite over the original.
Every time.
If he was talking about wanting to buy it for the little one, I, within this hour, have said the first time I played games as a family was with the Switch on Mario Kart, so I'd always go do that, because Chloe's 10, she's been playing games on and off for like 3 years-ish, a bit more recently. She's got, obviously, just, you get the dexterity if you last few years, so she can play a bit more, but having the ability to dock the Switch and both play with one controller each kind of thing, if we can play that Mario Kart stuff even without additional controllers.
Well, he does play a lot with his daughter as well, because they've got one of the Nintendo Classics, the SNES Classics, so he does play a lot of Mario World with her as well. So the fact that he can dock it, slide the controls off, they can both play two-player with the SNES and the NES catalogue that's available to him, it goes without saying, really.
Which, adding to that, I would have liked to have put it on my Game of the Year list because obviously we've like our gaming moments, but I didn't because it wasn't a moment for me. But I think one of the most resonating things I've seen, and I did mention this on the scoop, was there was a very short clip of Luigi's Mansion that Asim Tanvir from CI Games. He shared this. On his social media, and it was just Luigi walking around the mansion with his torch, and I'm thinking, this looks class. This looks like a next gen game, and I know Switch is a next gen console, but it isn't because it's 720 when it's on TV and things. So in my mind, without it being pro, it's not really next gen. But seeing that, I'm thinking, okay, that looks next gen now. I like the way that looks. So seeing that, and I mean, and the crap thing is, I still haven't played it, just like any other game this year because PUBG. But yeah, I would like to play Luigi's Mansion 3. So seeing that was kind of a resonating gaming moment, and I can see why that is up there for Game of the Year, just from how smooth and how perfect it looks without even playing it through the storylines.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about like the Switch, the idea of the Switch Pro coming out and stuff like that. On one hand, would absolutely love to see that, but I am a bit sceptical when those kind of things happen, because I wonder about, from the point of view of if you're a developer and you're creating a game, you want to create that game that's compatible on all the Switches, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder what a Pro can offer, really, apart from maybe faster loading times. If it goes down the route of, okay, or should I say, if the developers go down the route of releasing a game that can only be played in the Pro because the graphics are better or whatever, then you eliminate.
I imagine you'd be kind of like Xbox One, like Xbox One enhanced, or
HDR enabled and things like that. So they'll make it for them consoles, but you can only activate it once you activate it in your settings. I imagine. Otherwise, it's just going to be like a vanilla version.
Or the console just goes, oh yeah, this has got chip B, which is all the extra pixels and so on. I imagine it'd go that way.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I imagine the way that developers want to make their games now, they want to make it for the highest spec possible. So I imagine once they have the technology available to them, they'll all want to develop for that. I think it's easier to scale back than scale up.
Definitely, yeah.
So they'll just make it for the top resolution and then just filter it down, I reckon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I agree. Okay, so we've spoken a bunch of stuff and getting things like potentially Switches of the future. Now let's talk about the past. Let's go back over the last 10 years and try to name some of our games of the decade. I know what I have as my game of the decade. I've started with it. I have a number of games written down there, and it's not PUBG, by the way. Although that is one of my games of the decade for the amount of time that I've put into it personally. But I'll start with it. My game of the decade that I will put as my first suggestion is The Last of Us, and there's no surprise that The Last of Us 2 is one of the most hotly anticipated games of the start of the next decade because of how successful, how immersive, how good a storyline was in The Last of Us, and I've said this many times, and I always felt like I probably am a bit snobbish with my thought process. I always thought, well, it means more to me because I'm a dad, and that's bullshit. Clearly, it means a lot to everyone because of how successful it is. But I played that game. It came out in 2013. I played it very soon after launch on PS3, rather than playing it on the PS4. And at that point, I had a 2-year-old daughter. I had a 4-year-old daughter. Whoops. Sorry. So yeah, I had a 4-year-old daughter by this point, and a 2-year-old as well that Danielle doesn't know about as well. But so yeah, she was 4. So I've got this little bundle of life that started to turn into a little person, and The Last of Us has a very significant moment in the start of the game. Do you know, spoilers, I'm going to say it in just a few seconds now, so if you want to mute it for about 20 seconds, you should be right. I'll wave at you when not. He has a daughter. He being Joel, starts the game. You play as his daughter in the house. The house gets attacked by zombies. They try to leave. They almost get away. She gets killed. And that was kind of like a huge formulating point of the storyline. The rest of the game is then Joel and Ellie. It's about her trying to find her way in the world. They're both trying to like grow together, but him also trying to accept someone that he doesn't want, try to let down his barriers because he's been hurt once already. That sort of like growing story. And I thought, you know what, that resonates with me as that. Obviously, it resonates with everyone, but maybe I was a bit more sensitive emotionally at the time, so it absolutely struck home with me. So yeah, that's one of mine.
And by the way, I thought it was a great game as well. But for me, Breath of the Wild, I think.
did not expect that.
So I think that was 2017, something.
Pretends to be shocked.
Which is, you know, I think quite a lot of people's game of the decade. It certainly, I know that, like, I don't think either of you guys have played it. Have you? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I got it with my that was my launch game with the Switch. Yeah.
I mean, Legend of Zelda is one of those games series that always does well. Really, like, all the home console ones consistently review really well. It's a bit like Metal Gear Solid in a way, always does really well. But this one changed a lot of things up. It kind of added these more typical RPG elements that you could say previous Legend of Zelda games got a bit old-fashioned because they didn't include it. Things like sort of like actual changing your clothes and armor and stuff like that in weapons, and making it more of an open world sort of game.
More survival elements, weren't there, really? Like having to create your own food and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a big world to explore. You could climb and do and sort of like fly and explore it all. It felt kind of limitless almost. Yeah, for me, it was like a wow moment. And the thing is,
a Warcraft moment?
Yeah, wow moment.
What is this game?
I got it on the Wii U as well, which was like, you know, retro, but apparently there wasn't much difference between the two versions.
Which one was better? I remember like getting mixed messages where people at the start were saying, no, the Wii U version is better.
Yeah, exactly. I actually heard similar things. Heard like in initial reviews, some like articles saying get the Wii U version if anything. But
I think it was only the Field of View that was weaker on the Wii U because it was obviously less powerful con. But I have heard since actually the Switch is better in many ways as well, so I don't know.
Whichever one you had, that's the best one.
Exactly. I suppose it's just a testament that they've managed to get roughly the same quality game out on both consoles. I would say that.
It's a good shout. It's definitely, I imagine, like you say, be up there with the number of people's Game of the Year selections. Go on, give us one.
Well, I've got a list of 10 and then 2 honourable mentions, but
we will go through like lists. Just pick one that you kind of think kind of probably stands. That's not a Resident Evil game.
That's not a Resident Evil game. All right, that's not a Resident Evil game. I will go with Bad Company 2.
Oh,
I think
tick it off my list there.
I think it was a game that came out. I mean, I made a tweet about this, and quite a few people actually jumped on this as well. It was the right game at the right time at the right console with the right people. So obviously, you complete the storyline. There's always like 10 hours.
Didn't complete.
Did you not? No. Well, it's about 10 hours. They always are in these first-person shooter games.
I think it did actually.
But then you go into online, and that's where it starts to get a bit juicy. So again, right place, right time. I think it actually came out at the very beginning of the decade. I'm sure it was a 2010-ish release.
Yeah.
So I was 19 or 20. I'm not sure at what point during 2010 it came out. But it was, again, the right game, the right time. It had all the mechanics that you can see now in all of the first-person shooters. It was amazing. I'm a COD player, but I'm more of a Battlefield guy. I love the fact that a game can last 45 minutes. I love the fact that you've got to capture a few bases to then open the other part of the map and then do that. The party chats where you could have 8 of your friends in a party. Obviously, you can run a squad of 4, but you can go and use a squad of 4. The amount of hours I poured into that game, I think that was the first. Obviously, there's Modern Warfare and things like that came before it. This is the pinnacle of FPS games for me.
Yeah, I agree fully with that in terms of I remember getting into the game, having the class stuff, but the classes really mattered. I was talking about Star Wars and it being classes, and I said I'm not a big fan of class setup. I'm not, generally, because most of the time it doesn't work. You try to play Call of Duty, which does have some class stuff. There is no... if you play a team deathmatch thing, there is no objectives or whatever. It's just everyone runs off. I mean, obviously the objective is kill people, but there's no team play, no whatever. You play a team deathmatch in a Battlefield Bad Company 2, and it's playing as the objective is played together as a squad with your team. But team deathmatch, it's not play as a team; it's play as me in a team. The fact that they added stuff that's commonplace now, like pressing select on the 360 controller to spot the enemy in the distance and stuff, and I'm going, there's a guy there, and it's like, where? There, where? Boom! Oh, there, the little red triangle. Okay, pow, pow, sniper takes him out, kind of thing. That stuff. The fact that it mattered if you had someone that was a sniper that could lay like little so the sniper essentially. So we've had a sniper rifle. now we've got snipers.
Confirm Graham can't say sniper.
So they're like set up in their crow's nest kind of thing. So it could be on the top of a building or on a bank, or whatever. But they put the little motion detector so they can tell when someone's coming. And if you start doing things as a squad, then so you've got a sniper in there in a crow's nest, but then you've got artillery dudes sat there with ammo crates. You drop an ammo crate on the sniper so he can keep reloading, taking his shots. You're picking off people, and you start to build your own objective stuff, and it was class. Love that game. Easily the best FPS team game that I've ever played.
There was nothing better than being an engineer with your welding gear, going to an enemy tank and then just dismantling it piece by piece. It was incredible.
Yes, there was something better than that, and it's a very specific thing. I can't remember the name of the map, but there was almost like a rivery kind of lane thing through the middle, like a
trench.
Yeah, it's almost like an American LA sort of like sewer sort of drain, like huge thing, and then there was like little warehouses on one side, and there was like a multi-storied building on the other side. And if you get up to the top of the multi-story building, they had a UAV or a UAZ, I think it was called, which confused me because that's a Jeep in PUBG. But a UAZ on this was like a little remote controlled like you're supposed to look around and be able to see where the enemies and stuff are. But if you jump on the UAZ, you don't see it because it goes into like a first-person camera from the UAZ. This little remote control helicopter appears next to you on the building. So if I'd run up with my mate Martin, he'd throw his like sniper motion detectors on the staircase, and then I'd drop a refill thingy, like ammo crate, and then jump on the UAZ. The plane would appear. He'd strap loads of C4 to this little this little helicopter. I'd then go and fly it off. Because my ammo crate's there, he can go, I'll redo my C4. So then I'll just fly this little plane over, see like a tank trying there to go, drop it onto it. It'd go boom, boom. Blow up the tank.
Doing that.
The thing is, that didn't blow up the UAZ, so I'd just fly it back over, land it, he'd put more C4 on it, and we just go it. And then when people realise, they're on the roof, Martin would lay down, or he'd try to protect me. If I got dead, I'd just respawn on Martin and go back to that bit. But like if they then started coming up the stairs to get him, he'd know because his motion sensor stuff was going. And it was sweaty, horrible play in some senses, but at the time it was like, oh, this is so fun because you can feel how angry it's getting.
We feel like you've sort of done something smart in games. It's always rewarding, isn't it?
Yeah. So 2 people just taking out. So the best bit was like there was 2 tanks like coming down into this like almost like sewer converging bit. 2 enemy tanks. They'd got both the tanks on the map. Our team would just get mutilated. So we're like, fuck it, we'll go upstairs and we'll start doing some UAZ bombing. And both tanks converged as I just hit in between them, pull the trigger, and they just 8 kills. Yes.
But yeah, Battlefield Bad Company 2, incredible game.
Okay, I agree. I'm gonna. I'll run through mine quickly now. Then, just because we could be here all day. I've got Uncharted, very similar to The Last of Us, Naughty Dog, phenomenal game. I've only put Uncharted, although technically Uncharted was before that. But I mean the series, and I only say that because Uncharted 4 came out, and a very good friend of mine that used to work for Team PlayStation called Lee Baker, who doesn't anymore. He gave me the Uncharted collection and Uncharted 4, so Nathan Drake collection. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Played through them all in quick succession, and it was playing through a Hollywood movie. So Uncharted's obviously Uncharted 4 would be the one. Yeah, exactly. Class. PUBG, I mentioned, don't need to speak. Pokemon Go, a world-changing game. Everyone, and I mean there will obviously be exceptions. But in my groups of friends, everyone played it. The nerdy gamers that are in my group of friends, the cooler ones or whatever, and the girlfriends of the nerdy gamers and the cool friends or whatever, they all played it. Everyone played it. They were literally running around the streets to try find. We left the office. We left Ice Cream Studios on our lunch breaks to walk.
Actually, exercise.
I know, it's stupid, absolutely stupid. So Pogo is in there as one of my games of the decade, and I don't play mobile games, so that's bizarre. Fortnite I have in there because it should be. Yeah. Even though I'm not a Fortnite player, I know the impact that the game's had. We spoke about it already. And then Red Dead Redemption, not number 2, but Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, good show.
So those are my other games on the list. They would all fall behind The Last of Us for me. But yeah.
I will just add Mario Galaxy 2, I think was just in this decade, which was just a classic 3D Mario game.
Was it on Wii?
Probably the best. Yeah, it actually was. And I wish it was HD so bad. That's one of the
I'm
things I was hating
disappointed.
about the Wii.
Before we came recording this for you guys for the Christmas special, Luke asked so I think maybe or Luke said it was a Wii game, and I was like, hey, it's not that small. I was waiting for you to ask him that then, but you didn't. So
sorry, purposely just so you couldn't say it.
It's no Wii game. No, it's quite big, isn't it?
Hitman, you guys may have heard me talk about the new Hitman games
The contracts.
quite a bit. I'm just like a big fan of the reboot of Hitman. Super Smash Brothers, I could name 2 or 3. I think probably been released in this decade. I love them all. I think Super Smash Ultimate I couldn't name in sort of like among my gaming moments this year because it like came out in December last year. But obviously,
it's alright for Game of the Year awards and stuff. That wouldn't count for last year, so you can have it.
It was nominated, I think, for this one.
Did it win as well, actually, or was that?
I think it won the best fighting game. Or something.
Yeah.
There's a RPG called Persona 5 which did really well like last year or something. Loved that. I feel like I've missed a load, but yeah, that's what I've got down. Oh, and Horizon Zero Dawn, which actually is kind of among my gaming moments this year. Again, it's one of those that came out in like 2017, late 2017, I think, but I played this year, loved. Yes, I will randomly speak again if I think of any more.
Just not here, not within the podcast, just walking around Morrison's getting your Christmas sprouts or whatever.
I'm just falling asleep tonight and I blurt out, you know.
XCOM! Counter-Strike! And the little old lady's like...
So, I'll run through mine.
Sorry for the shouting, by the way. Yeah.
Sleeping Dogs. I don't know if either of you have played that. Absolutely amazing game. The voice acting in that game for some of the biggest stars in the world. Amazing. Even Samantha played that and absolutely loved it. Borderlands 2. Incredible game again. Elder Scrolls Online we've already talked about. Skyrim, who can forget about Skyrim? It's a sensational game. It's been ported to 1,000,001 consoles. There's a reason why audio tasting game.
Audio description for the audio listeners. Graham and Luke raise their hands.
Have you not both ever played it?
Nope.
I haven't, although it would be a game I would like, I'm sure of it. But
both
no.
Sick.
So that's a convincing lie there, Luke.
I know.
GG.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make it feel better.
Play that game. The Walking Dead Season 1.
I've played the first episode.
Amazing game. You need to finish off that. I literally bawled my eyes out of that game. It is amazing. GTA 5, the biggest game ever.
Standard.
Yep.
Bought that for 2 consoles. Nope. 3 consoles, Xbox 360, PS4, and my PC.
I've purchased it for 2. I was going to add it to my list, but even though I like The Last of Us and Uncharted, same developers, same sort of reasons, I allowed those to both be on the list. But I wouldn't allow myself to have Red Dead and GTA. I don't know why, even though they are both class. So yeah,
I had The Last of Us, but we've already spoken about that. Honourable mentions to Fallout New Vegas and Far Cry 3. However, my top 2 are reserved for, you guessed it, both the Resident Evil games that came out. So Resident Evil 7, which technically rebooted the franchise because 6 was shit, 5 was okay, but Resident Evil 7 was absolutely incredible. Third time that they've done third person. No, we had Resident Evil Survivor on the PS1, wank. Resident Evil Survivor 2 on the PS2, wank.
Stop telling me to do that. I'm on a podcast. So no, I won't.
So we've got with Resident Evil 7, amazing, and then Resident Evil 2 remake. Should have won Game of the Year. You all did shit and didn't vote for it. But yeah, they are my games of the decade.
Okay, so because it was my choice, and you both had it on your list, so are we agreeing that The Last of Us was the game of the decade then?
I think between us, yes, pretty much. It's universal, isn't it?
Okay, so it's not set in stone, but we quite like The Last of Us. That's what we should have as our like review slate.
Yeah,
it's not quite set in stone, but we quite like The Last of Us as our game of the decade.
If you decide to remake it again for the PS5, be sure to put that on the back of your case. 5 stars. Ice Cream Upload said it was great.
It's pretty good, is this?
But yeah, I think that's pretty much universal between all three of us. All three of us had it on our games list.
So it's good. I do like seeing lists like that because we like some of mine might not reflect with yours and vice versa. Like Pogo, everyone goes, "Oh yeah, that was nice," but I played it for a week. Whereas I may have caught Sancho this morning.
Have you still got your watch thing?
No, because I've lost it. So I've I'm commandeering Chloe's basically, slowly but surely taking his. So yeah, the Pokemon Go Plus. But yes, it's running through the list. It's good to see like there's probably things down there you're thinking not so much. Similar. It's good to see everyone likes different things and everyone likes The Last of Us because I said so. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Anyway. Do you know what?
I haven't got anything else.
Do you know what? I reckon, yeah, you need to check on those sprouts. I'm not sure. Have you even been in there recently?
It's Finney's ass.
Oh, God. Finn is the office dog, by the way. So, yes, if you are having sprouts, enjoy your sprouts. Let's bring you back to the front. You can join the studio. Hey. If you are enjoying sprouts, enjoy the sprouts. And the turkey. If you're not having the turkey, if you don't eat the meat, it's fine. Eat the things that you want to eat. Enjoy, be it Christmas, be it New Year's, whatever you want to call your holiday period. Enjoy it. Have yourselves a very lovely time. We hope that we've given you a little bit of insight into the inner workings. What's workings where it doesn't really do much work of the mind of Ice Cream Uploads. So yeah, hopefully you agree. Do you like The Last of Us? Let us know. Obviously, feel free to drop us a note in the comments. We are all. I'm not going to say part of us is deep in Turkey at this point in time, and all the rest of the things. Like I said, I'm probably in the middle of a Star Wars. Is it the Fallen Jedi, Last Jedi? I can't remember what it's called.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. There we go. I'm a big fan. Something Jedi that fell. So I'm probably playing that right now. If you see me on PSN, just say hi, Graham. How you doing? And then I'll go. I'm not going to respond because I'm playing Star Wars. What you want about me? But the thought would have been there. So yes. Enjoy. If you like what you've seen, if you don't like what you've seen, do you like The Last of Us? Did you not like The Last of Us? If you didn't, why? You can let us know in the comments or just tweet us on Twitter. Obviously, I'll bring the nameplates up because that has all of our names on there. I'm Graham_Dane. We have We've Got Bibinho and.
I always get the point.
And Luke is Jeroen. For those of you in the audio services, we have our names lit on screen and pointed badly at all of them. So there we go. Obviously, they can let us know on other social channels, can't they, Dave?
Absolutely. You can find us on Ice Cream Uploads across every single social media platform, barring MySpace and Bebo. Yeah, you'll be able to catch us on those.
Why not on MySpace, baby?
That's
Come
a
on.
good shout, actually.
We used to be, but after that one video where Big went into a bathroom, Dr. Disrespect ain't got nothing on him.
I'm not a pervert, man.
It was the wipe scenes that nobody wanted. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Anything you would like to add, gentlemen, before we leave?
Not from me. I just wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Exactly, yeah. I hope you have a very nice Christmas and Happy New Year. And is it worth pointing out at this stage when roughly the scoop will be back? Or
well, we are currently exceptionally drunk. So for now, no, not really. No, we will be back. We will give you all the updates on the social channels. Let's just for the safety now, because it's still a bit early. Let's just say we will be back. If not before, in the new year. So if we don't speak to you before, have yourselves a very, very, very lovely New Year's celebrations, and we hope to see you in 2020 slightly inebriated, hopefully sober enough to enjoy the mediocre banter that we have on this show.
Exactly.
You both looked at me then. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Okay. And on that bombshell, have yourselves a very lovely day, ladies and gentlemen. And from all of us at the team,